Welcome back to Heart-Led Hustle. In today's episode, I want to break down one of the most common things that I work with my business mentoring clients and with my therapy clients as well, just across the board. And this is the feeling of imposter syndrome and how it shows up in our lives and in our businesses, what we can do about it, what is the psychology behind it, why does it happen, and ultimately how do we overcome it so that we don't get stuck in the behavior that results because of it. So I want to start by saying that statistically over 70% of people feel imposter syndrome at some stage in their lives. It is a very normal and natural part of the human experience, and it does not necessarily mean by any means that what you are thinking about yourself or how you are feeling about yourself is true, right? So why does imposter syndrome happen? Before I'm going to dive into that, I want to share with you that I feel it all the time. When I was writing my book, I often felt to myself, who am I to be writing this book? Who am I to be like, who's even going to read this? Who am I to even expect or assume that people will read this? I kind of, in different ways, number one, I kind of felt like, oh, maybe I'm being really egoic in assuming that people will read this. And I tried to pull myself down off that maybe pedestal that I thought I was on. Like, who do you think you are? The second thing was, I'm bringing forward a lot of concepts and a lot of theory here, but so many people know more than me. So who's going to read this and like the way that I say it when there are so many more experts out there who could say it better? The third thing was, if this works, it's really just going to be about luck, because I don't have a huge following. I don't have, I'm not an expert in my field. I'm not any of these things. And, what if people buy it and they just think that it's crap, And this feeling in me, it got stronger and stronger and stronger the closer I got to actually publishing the book. I think it started off as something that was really exciting and it felt really safe because it was just me and my laptop. No one else was reading it. No one else had eyes on it. I hadn't submitted it to any publishers yet. It wasn't like a thing. And then as soon as I did that, the imposter syndrome came flooding in and I felt so nervous about putting it out into the world. And even though I felt all of that, and this is the important part, I kept going anyhow. And because of the experience, and because I know that I'm totally okay as a result, I'm now in the process of writing my second book. And I don't feel that feeling of imposter syndrome with my second book because I've already done it once. And so there's something to this that we're going to be exploring today in today's podcast. What I've noticed in my own journey, and you will probably notice the same thing with yours, is that imposter syndrome always shows up the moment we're about to do something that is unfamiliar to our mind and our nervous system, right? And why do we do this? Obviously, unfamiliar territory brings up feelings of fear. Our brains love what is familiar and they want to stay in a situation that is familiar because they know what to expect. They can predict the outcomes based on past experiences of familiarity. Our behavior has already adjusted to what is familiar, and the way that we relate to and attach ourselves to the people around us within familiarity is also already established. So for lack of a better word, we are safe there. Even if familiar is not where we want to be, even if familiar is toxic in some way, even if familiar is, actually not ideal, if we know what is familiar and our brain is okay with that, as in it's found comfort in that, then it's really not going to want to change. Because when we change, when we up level in our business, when we do something new, when we, are being exposed in a new way, being seen in a new way, whether that be starting up your Instagram account, whether it be publishing your website, whether it be writing a book, whether it be being asked to be on a podcast that maybe has a bigger following and there's more people that will have eyes on you, right? Maybe it's putting out a concept or a theory that maybe will be met with criticism or judgment, or saying something that maybe is a little bit more controversial, right? Any of these things feel and are unfamiliar because we're kind of meeting our edge and having to take that brave step of doing something that we haven't done before. So in that unfamiliar territory, our nervous system doesn't know what to expect. So in other words, it doesn't have any past experiences to lean on that tells it, yes, this is safe, this is fine. Usually, in fact, when it comes to imposter syndrome, it's very commonly associated with exposure, right? So this idea of being more visible, more seen. And a lot of the times people have already a past experience with visibility, with being exposed, with being seen, and consequences of conflict or chaos, or maybe being bullied, maybe being judged, maybe being laughed at, maybe not being heard, right? We all have stories that are associated with this idea of really showing the world who we authentically are. Now, if we had childhood trauma whereby our authenticity needed to be suppressed in order to favor attachment, then the imposter syndrome that shows up for you within your business is going to be far greater because of that implicit memory and the way that those memories are stored in your body and in your brain and what that means about survival, right? So you will navigate your business and you will be coasting, right? You'll be kind of plodding along, doing what you feel is safe, is familiar. And, eventually we come to a plateau point where we kind of go, okay, this has been working really well, but I really want the next thing. I'm ready to launch my website, or I'm ready to launch this course, or I want to do my first face to camera reel on Instagram, or whatever it might be. And we know consciously what we want, and we see other people doing it, and maybe we feel inspired by that, but then we go to hit publish on our website, or we go to record on our cameras or our phones or whatever it might be, and we freeze and we come into this space of paralysis, right? Now, imposter syndrome is often associated with the beliefs of I'm not good enough, what if they find out that I don't know much? So this fear of exposure, this fear of being a fraud. Who am I to teach this? Especially in the health and wellness space and in the coaching and therapy space, I often come across this belief of well, who am I to be talking about this when I haven't resolved this issue within my own life, So I still navigate, if you're a relationship coach, for example, I'm still navigating ruptures with my partner, or I'm not in a relationship, for example, so who am I to be teaching on this? So we question ourselves based on the context of our own humanness. I'm not as good as them, so comparison is really interlinked in imposter syndrome. If I succeed, it's just luck. So there's really this unwillingness to recognize our strengths and the time, energy, effort, resources that we've put into achieving our goals and to celebrate our wins, right? I need to be perfect before I can be confident is another belief. So if this isn't perfect, then I won't be confident. If this isn't perfect, then it won't work out right. I need to wait until I'm ready in order to feel confident. So these are all imposter syndrome beliefs. And it's really, I'd invite you here to just kind of take a pause and think about in your own business, in your own life, where are these beliefs showing up for you? Now, I want you to recognize, like I said earlier, that whilst they can be really convincing, right? And they can feel really true, they are just thoughts, and they are thoughts that are there in a bid to protect you and to keep you safe because of the fact that your brain and your nervous system wants you to stay in what's familiar. Furthermore than that, if you have low self-worth, low self-esteem, or you feel inherently you have not really worked through or overcome some of those unworthiness wounds that may exist from your life or your childhood, then there is also going to be an identity factor here, right? It's going to be it's really important for me to stay small. because staying small is how I stay attached. It's how I remain liked. It's how people know me. And if I am not small, or if I step out of that identity of who I am, then I might be met with conflict, chaos, I might get in trouble, I might get cancelled, I might be judged. All of these things may happen, right? So really thinking about this kind of jump into unfamiliar territory, what that brings up for you. And then secondly, where is my kind of, if I was to put my worthiness on a scale of 0 to 10 as to how worthy or unworthy I feel, like where does that sit? Because that's also going to dictate the intensity of the imposter syndrome that you feel and the severity of your nervous system and your thoughts trying to keep you in an identity state that keeps you safe, right? Now, the second thing I want to speak to is the fact that so many of us, especially when we have our own businesses, it's very natural and normal that we follow people online who have achieved more than us, right? Or who are maybe further along in their business journey, or maybe they are, like maybe if I'm a health coach, I might follow a functional medicine doctor, right? Someone who maybe has more of a science background or who has gone through the medical system or something like that. And I'm doing that because I'm learning from them and I'm inspired by them. But what's also happening is that subconsciously I'm putting myself on a hierarchy, right? They are better than me because they know more than me. They are superior to I am. They are, what they have to say is more credible than me, like all of these things. So we start to say, okay, well, they're above me and I'm below them. So we start to place ourselves in this kind of hierarchy. And what we tend to forget as business owners is that just as we are following somebody else who inspires us, our clients are doing the same thing with us, right? But when we go to step up to the next level in our business, whether that be launching a new course, whether it be increasing our prices, whether it be changing the structure, whether it be running a workshop for a lot of people or showing up on a podcast, like I said before, whatever it might be, we then automatically compare ourselves to these other people that we've pedestaled. And we say, well, I'm not like them, so who am I to do this? I'll never do it as good as them. And we kind of forget where we are and the importance of what we offer and how that is so important to our audience and our community and how they see us, right? I like to think that we're all equal. Despite what credentials or what you've gone through in your life, I really believe that all of us are inherently worthy. All of us are deserving of success. All of us are deserving of a good life. All of us are deserving of our businesses, taking off. And the thing is that we can't compare my timeline to somebody else's timeline because they are fundamentally not me and I'm not them. And it's like comparing apples to oranges. Like I can't do that, right? But when I do that, it stops me from fulfilling my own dreams. And I forget the audience that I have who's watching me and who wants to see more from me, who wants to see me excel, who wants to learn more from me. Me even doing this podcast, for example, was like, oh my God, who is going to listen to this? Like, why am I even doing this? I feel so silly. And also, I have so much to say. And I know that the few people that I do work with will really benefit from this. So I chose to go ahead anyhow. And this brings me to how do we resolve imposter syndrome? Now, I think it's really important. A few factors come to play. Obviously, if you are acting out of integrity in any way in your business, in the sense of you are working outside of your scope of practice, or you are saying that you are someone that you're not, or you are claiming something that isn't true. Obviously that is going to impact the way that you feel because you know that you are pretending or lying or not being authentic in some degree. So it's really important that you are showing up as who you are and really knowing that that is more than enough. That's more than enough. You can always add things on later. You can always expand however you want. You have so much time to do whatever you want. But right now where you are, trusting that that is enough for the people that, want to find you and need to work with you at this level that you're at, right? It's really really, really important that we are always working in integrity. If that is being met, and we know that we are in integrity with our work, and we know that we are, working within our scope of practice, we know that we are, not doing anything that is out of integrity, then we've kind of ticked that box, right? The next thing is that this assumption that people think that I'm going to wait till I'm ready before I feel confident. So I have worked with so many people who have said to me that they've been sitting on a website for 2 years, some people more than that, and not hit publish. Or they have been writing their bio for like 6 to 12 months and still they don't feel satisfied with how it reads, so they're still not publishing it. I know people who have so many reels saved to their Instagram account and they've not hit publish on any of them. I've worked with so many people who have these amazing dreams of helping others, creating courses or putting themselves out there, and they are totally qualified. They have all the credentials. In fact, they have too many credentials. They have spent so much time studying, which is one of these classic symptoms of imposter syndrome, is that we feel like we don't know enough. So we keep doing more and more and more courses, and we think that if I just do one more course, then I will be ready. And yet every time we finish the course, we still don't feel ready, right? It's because something deeper is happening, and it's got nothing to do with how much you know or how many credentials you have. It's to do with the fear of the unfamiliar and the fear of being seen and visible. So that is the deeper wound that's sitting in the subconscious and in the nervous system that's driving the thoughts and the behaviors and the inaction of actually taking the next step, right? Now, I want you to remember that confidence is a skill, it's a quality that develops once your brain actually recognizes that you can do something. It's not something that you can think your way into. It has to be done via action. Your brain witnessing that action, finding the evidence that you're safe regardless, and then you developing confidence as a result. So in other words, you can't wait to feel confident. Confidence comes from taking action and you recognizing that you are okay as a result, right? So stop waiting to feel ready. And I would say from like an exposure therapy perspective, we want to be exploring what feels safe for my nervous system. What is one small step that I can take in the right direction that feels safe for my nervous system? That maybe it's like pushing me to my edge, but I know that I can regulate myself from there, right? And the more that you can stack these micro actions, the faster you will be able to achieve the goal that you have. Now, if you want to, you can integrate visualization into this process. So if you know that you want to be seen online, if you know that you want to start your Instagram account, for example, or you know that you want to, put yourself out there, and maybe you want to publish a book, right? Maybe you want to go down that path and you also want to publish a book. Now, writing the manuscript might be something that comes easy to you, like it did for me, but then putting yourself out there, facing, being rejected by many different publishing houses, facing, your work being read by thousands of people, criticism, like all of this stuff that comes up, like maybe that's where you then retract, or that's where you procrastinate, right? You keep saying the manuscript's not ready, or you keep, doing a little bit and then you're distracting yourself because it's a form of self-sabotage, or, you get halfway through the book and then you decide you don't like it anymore, so you throw it in the bin and you think you're going to do a different topic instead, and you keep changing and you keep changing and you keep changing because it's a way of keeping you safe, right? This happens all the time in all aspects of business, and we keep convincing ourselves that, but I just need to make this change, I just need to do this thing, I just need to whatever it might be, right? Constantly procrastinating and telling ourselves and convincing ourselves that it's productive when it's not. So let's say that you want to publish a book, and let's say you've already got your manuscript and you've written it out, and that's felt safe to you and it's felt fun and exciting, and now you're at this point where you have to send it off to publishers, and you're freezing, you're feeling, you're procrastinating, you're self-sabotaging. What you can do here is you can start to create a list of what feels the safest for you in your body right now to execute on. And like I said earlier, you can integrate visualization into this. Why visualization is so important when it comes to manifesting or achieving our goals is because your brain can't actually tell the difference between a vivid visualization or imagination and reality, but it has to be vivid in the way that you have to integrate your sensory organs into the process. So when you are sitting down with your eyes closed and you are imagining yourself, sending out the manuscript to 20 different publishers, for example, you have to really imagine like your fingers on the keyboard. You can maybe hear the sound of the keys tapping as you're doing it. Maybe you visualize yourself writing the email itself. You can feel the anxiousness in your nervous system. You visualize yourself soothing yourself as you do it. Maybe also you visualize receiving rejection emails, because this is a big part of becoming more resilient, and we can use visualization to become more resilient by imagining worst case scenarios and witnessing ourselves navigating through those with grace, right? Visualization is not just about always these positive outcomes. It's also about understanding the inevitable setbacks that may happen and being able to meet ourselves with compassion and with nervous system regulation as we do it, therefore creating a more resilient system. So you can integrate visualization into the process. The more you do this and the more frequently you do this, basically what's happening in your brain is your brain is starting to think that you've already done it. So it's like you're preparing yourself to step into a situation that your brain already knows. It already has a memory of it because you've been visualizing it over and over and over again. So then when you do sit at your laptop and you do go to send your manuscript out, whilst the anxiety might be there, you already know what it feels like and you already know how to regulate yourself through it, right? So I would say come up with some small tangible actions that feel like, oh, it's a bit of a stretch for me. It feels a little bit exposing, but I'm going to do it regardless because I know that this is where my confidence comes from. It's really important to notice the feeling that's happening in our bodies, to recognize the nervous system activation and to be able to regulate ourselves as that is happening so that we can see that we are safe as a result, right? So maybe orienting yourself after you've taken on that task or done that thing, looking around the room, seeing what you can see, what you can hear, like really taking in that I am safe, I am okay, and in fact, I'm really proud of myself for doing something that I once thought was really, really challenging, and recognizing that I am still safe, right? The more that you can do this, the more you're able to tackle the bigger goal at hand by navigating these smaller chunks. Now, eventually you will reach the goal that you had and you'll be like, wow, this was actually a lot easier than I expected. And you'll be coasting again and you'll be, everything will be good, everything will feel easy for a while. And then all of a sudden you'll come to the next thing, right? That might be your second book, or it might be launching a course, or it might be speaking in front of 1,000 people, or I don't know what it is, but there'll be something else that comes up, right? Another opportunity, another way that you are going to be exposing yourself to the world. And naturally, that will be new, unfamiliar territory. And it will all happen again, okay? It'll all happen again. But at this time, and every time it happens, it's so important that we can bring compassion to the experience and normalize the process. It is your brain and your nervous system trying to protect you and keep you safe, which is its job, by the way. And also, it means that you care. Ultimately, if we are worried about doing a good job, we really want to be seen in the right way, we really want to deliver value, it means that you really care about what you do. And that is a beautiful, wonderful thing. But I need you to normalize this process as a part of the human experience, and to not take all of these thoughts as truth, as gospel, because they're not. They're not. It's just that is what your brain is designed to do. It's designed to recognize the fear, look to the situation, and then come up with beliefs that justify why we are feeling that way, okay? If you want to work on it on a deeper level, if you really want to understand what is sitting beneath the surface, I've in the show notes, I've put together a 2-part video training all around the fear of being seen. So like where that comes from, how it can stem from childhood experiences, what we can do about it, and how we can bring, some nurturing to that inner child part of us every time that visibility wound is activated. So if you want to access that, feel free to click the link below. I hope you enjoyed today. Any feedback would be super appreciated. And just know that you're doing an amazing job.